my second attempt at trying to capture the sound of this exhaust while I'm driving the car, just to give you an idea what it sounds like while the car is in motion, I guess. And this is the interior sounds. Cold start, that's where we will start. Cold start, we'll start with the cold start. That's the cold start. That's what it sounds like. I will go for a short test drive. It's just a drive. I basically drive this car on weekends and also while the weather is nice. I try not to drive this car in rain and such because I don't want to get there is no reason to get the suspension and such dirty. And I guess what I'm trying to say, this is my backup car and I don't really drive it much. I guess that doesn't matter really, but that's the bottom line of what's happening. One of the lessons that I learned living in Virginia, in state of Virginia, California is different, but state of Virginia, the drivers in state of Virginia are the worst. These are, I basically don't have any good words to describe these drivers. 95, I wish I could say 95% of them are just terrible. You really have to be watching out. You kind of have to look around all the time. You have to be prepared for any kind of a situation development. Like the worst that you can imagine is going to happen. And yeah, that's how bad the drivers here in the state of Virginia are. I guess for those people that watch my channel and are not in the United States, I mean I can share a lot of experiences, or I guess there is a ton of videos on YouTube that are drivers related. That talk about drivers in the United States, and it's kind of different from state to state. It's not the same. Like I said, California, I lived in California for a while, and California is definitely different from Virginia. Virginia is also, like, there is a rural Virginia where I live, and it's different. If you go up north to Washington DC, Washington DC is naturally a different, is a different thing. Well, let's go back to today's video. We're going for a drive. I'm going for a drive, and I'm going to try and capture the exhaust sound basically, and to share what this exhaust is what it sounds like at this point. I have two resonators installed. One is an ultra quiet, that's what they call it, and the second is just a regular 3-inch. Well, it's not a regular, it's a titanium. Well, I mentioned this because that thing is beautiful. I just yes, you can use a regular stainless steel resonator in place of titanium, and it kind of makes sense. It's cheaper. It makes the same well, does the same job basically, and it's cheaper, and you can also weld it in, so you don't have to use clamps. Like at this point I have the ultra quiet resonator being welded in, which is a good thing, as I said before, and the other one uses 2 clamps. So I don't like using clamps on the exhaust. I mean, it's not a terrible thing, but when you have too many clamps on your exhaust, that's a little bit I just don't like it, I guess. 2 sections or 3 sections that the exhaust can break into, that's plenty enough. So you naturally have a header configuration, then you have a mid pipe, and then you have the rear section. So I guess that's plenty enough. Yeah, I'm not even sure. Well, headers are naturally just connected through some kind of a flange system to the mid pipe. That's normal. Yeah, but when you have more than that, it's just, I don't know, way too much. Let's go back to the sound. I'm going to drive for some minutes until the oil temperature comes up to a normal operating temperature. I never stress my engine while it's not warmed up properly. So we'll go for a while. I will drive for a while, and the engine will warm up. The weather outside, the temperature outside is nice, so the engine will kind of come to a proper operating temperature fast enough, I guess, and then we'll do a bit of I guess spirited driving, I guess, whatever. I will try to, well, go into higher RPMs, but I guess that's not exactly representative of the sound, because you normally, if you drive a car, like if you have a car like this and you drive it on a daily basis, I guess there are two situations. You either use your car for like track sessions, autocross. Autocross also has limits as far as the decibels go, or if you use your car for daily driving, or a mixed type of driving. But in any case, if your car is not specifically a track tool, then the daily driving noises and sounds is what's important. And I guess I'm trying to concentrate on those people, on those cars that people drive daily, because, well, if you have a truck tool, then you would not really care about resonators and making your car quieter. So I'm going uphill. This is not really a nice way to load the engine up, but I think this represents one of those situations when you're in a like higher gear and the RPMs are not too high, and you just load the engine up going uphill. So naturally it makes sense to downshift. This engine allows you to really not to downshift. It's got plenty of torque and at lower RPMs, but I guess there you go, that you can hear that how loud it becomes. So if I if I downshift into fifth gear and starts going a little bit downhill, so the exhaust just basically goes away. It becomes really quiet. You still can tell the presence of the exhaust, of the modified exhaust, but it's yeah, I'm trying to, I guess, it's naturally happening. I'm not really putting too much effort into it because I'm going about 55 to 60 miles an hour. That's the speed limit on the by roads of state of Virginia. And in the sixth gear, the car is about 2200 RPMs, 23, 24. And you can be in sixth gear and you can be going uphill, downhill. And I guess that's this is the typical situation for this kind of driving. On the interstate, you're about 70 miles an hour in sixth gear. The engine at about 3000 RPMs in this configuration of the drivetrain. And that's what's happening. This is the noises that it makes, this exhaust makes now. In this situation, you hear the exhaust the most, and the engine itself is not really visible sound-wise. You have an option, and it really doesn't hurt the engine. You can be in the fifth gear, and the engine will spin at higher RPMs. And it actually is a good thing for N52. N52 is kind of picky about RPMs that you are driving it at. And actually this actually applies to, in my just recent experience, this applies to M54. And I guess many other BMW engines. We're talking about BMWs on my channel. There's a Corvette. And what I'm trying to say is that these engines, they have to be used properly. You have to be you should not let them be at 2000 RPMs all day long. That's really not a good thing. This engine, you have to rev it. Carbon buildup and things like that, that's a real thing that can kill your engine. And N52 specifically, lifters, that's one of those things. Lifter stick, that's one of those things. And according to the articles that I came across, the lifter tick is more of a situation in the United States, and especially, well, there are many of these cars that have automatic transmissions, specifically in the United States, and people don't drive fast. Well, they drive fast, but being automatic, those cars don't really have higher, or they are not being used at higher RPMs. I guess that's the point. And the lifters, compared to Europe, the European cars, I guess in the past at least, had more manual transmissions on them. And well, I guess I'm thinking about Germany, because that's where the autobahns are and that's where people drive faster. So the lifter tick on N52, at least N51 and 52 engines, is not that big of a problem in Europe or Germany, I guess. In the United States, it's kind of a known thing that, and the cure, and the reason for that is that the oil pressure, low RPMs, lower oil pressure, and well, I guess that's a long thing that I don't want to go into a long explanation. The bottom line is the cure for that is if you get to the dealership, they basically rev the engine or let it sit at certain higher RPMs for minutes, and that gets rid of the lifter tick on these engines. So but not before you warm them up. And we will have to make a left turn somewhere. So now we are getting off this larger by road, and we are going to be on a smaller road, and that's where we are going to be able to have some that's where we can let the engine spin at higher RPMs. And yeah, we have a few miles of this road. In any case, you have to let these engines to run at higher RPMs, at least occasionally. The carbon buildup, the lifter tick, I guess those are the things. I'm falling below 3000 RPM. Not a good thing. Well, to really experience this engine, you really have to go to a track or like autocross, woohoo, up and down, that's a lot of fun, but you have to be careful. Because it's a small road, and going too fast is not a good thing on a small road, and it's not really a populated area, and but you have to be watching out for the wild animals and things like that. This thing is a lot of fun, and I guess it makes sense to talk about this car in general, the way this car is. Oof. I got a bit of an adrenaline rush, really. Have not experienced that in a long time. Huh. So I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about the suspension and the brakes and the transmission. So 6-speed manual swap, really. Let's check out the map. The thing is, well, that was past 7,000 RPMs. And I was traction control blinking. That's new. Not miss my turn. Somewhere left turn. In any case, I have summer tires. Michelin Pilot Sport 4, not 4S, and that's a little bit. Well, they're soft. I guess that's the best way to describe it. A dead raccoon, and now we have a 45 speed limit, and I guess we have to obey the speed limits. And yeah, this is a really nice weather for this car to be on the road. And we're almost look at those beautiful views. This is just really beautiful here. I'm just going to mention that at this point the suspension is set to pretty much the softest. It's adjustable, Sachs ZF, BMW Performance, almost factory OEM coilover kit. Well, it is. It says BMW on it. It's E90 specific. So this suspension in this configuration and settings is really perfect. It's perfect. It's really nice. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Perfect. for this car, I guess. I have not taken the car to the autocross yet. My latest sticker is 2022. 2 years ago. Oh my god, time flies. It fits this car really properly, I guess. The brakes I have Performance 6-piston front brake kit, and I'm trying to follow the map. And yes, it's basically 135 E82 135i brake kit. It's the same brake system. It's just the performance version is just a retrofit, basically. And the rear brakes are still factory. I should mention that the front brake rotors are 2-piece rotors. They have aluminum hats, so they're not solid steel. They're 2-piece. So you can have either a 2-piece, they're not floating type, just aluminum hats, or you can have a solid steel or cast iron solid single-piece rotors. And I figured that these look they're really good being 2-piece, and they also save a little bit of a mass. The main goal of this video was to talk about the exhaust, and I hope you have had the chance of listening to this exhaust in this short drive. And I'm driving within the speed limits, and I'm shifting at normal RPMs, and I guess just to give you one more glimpse at the sounds this exhaust makes. So if you're around 2,500 RPMs, like fourth gear, that's what the exhaust is like. I swear I thought I was getting really close to where I should be today, but it's still I'm still not there. So this is about 3,000 RPMs, going uphill in fourth gear. There is not much load on the engine, so there is no drone. I guess that's one of those things that I should have mentioned in the beginning of this video, that I wanted to verify that the drone is not there anymore. I mean, it's almost gone with the 2 resonators. And I guess at this point I'm going to say that I don't think I will do anything else to the rear section of this exhaust. So those 2 resonators, I think they will stay. And I guess the next thing to really deal with is the midsection and the headers. So the midsection, it still has 2 catalytic converters. I don't like that. I don't need them. In state of Virginia, you can get rid of them and not get punished for doing that. This car would be 100% illegal on the roads of California. I guess this should be it for this video. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on my channel regularly. Come back and check out my other videos, and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, helps me a lot. Speed limit 25. In any case, cheers.